Let's get back to politics here on the Mike Gallagher Show. Scott Jennings sitting in for Mike, and I'm glad to have with me my old friend and one of the most important Republicans in the country, Congressman James Comer of Kentucky's 1st Congressional District is with me. Jamie, Congressman Comer, the oracle of American politics for all that you brought to light about Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family. Welcome to the Mike Gallagher Show. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
You were on top of this before anybody. You got a hold of this chairmanship, and you dug in on this, and oh my goodness, I listened to the media poo-poo this. There's nothing there. This is all made up. This is all fabricated. Well, Congressman Comer, if it's all made up and there's no there, why does Hunter Biden need a blanket pardon going back 11 years to just about the time when he started getting involved in Ukraine? You tell me.
Yeah, that's the key, Scott. It's a blanket pardon for anything that might arise. Because our investigation started in 2014. That's when we subpoenaed bank records starting from 2014 all the way to 2020, to the time Joe Biden was elected president. And it's just a coincidence. The pardon goes all the way back to 2014, all the way to December the 1st of this year. So 11 years. And at the end of the day, the Bidens have committed so many financial crimes that what he was charged for was just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
I would argue 90% of the crimes, the money laundering, the violation of Foreign Agents Registration Act, the tax evasion for all this income that wasn't reported to the IRS, according to the IRS whistleblowers. I mean, that would account for 90% of the other financial crimes. And I'm not even getting into what was on the laptop and the salacious stuff, because all I investigated was the money that the Biden took in. And this is the question everyone should ask. What business were the Bidens in? What did they do to justify depositing $27 million from our enemies around the world?
Yeah, you always ask the greatest question here on this. What was the product? What was the product? Why was money changing hands? Why were they hiring Hunter Biden? What was the value of it? What was the product? It's pretty obvious now what the product was, isn't it?
The product was Joe Biden, and we had some of the former associates like Devin Archer and Tony Bobulinski. They testified to this under oath. They said the product was the Biden brand. They were buying access to Joe Biden. That's exactly what they were doing. And if you look at Jim Biden, who, by the way, Scott, will get a pardon too.
Yeah.
The reason that Joe Biden pardoned Hunter early was because he was fixing to be sentenced to prison next week.
Yeah.
Now, he'll pardon Jim Biden on the way out the door. Jim Biden's business was much like Hunter's, except Jim Biden, the money he took in were from criminals in the United States, domestic criminals who were needing pardons, who were needing government contracts, who were needing casino licenses, some of the most shady of the shady things that government does. That's what Jim Biden's business was entailed. So, this is a family that's been influence peddling for decades. Our investigation proved that, and I think that Joe Biden's pardons validated that.
Let me ask you a question about, by the way, you talk to Democrats about Jimmy Biden, Joe Biden's brother. They say things like, oh, you think Hunter Biden was bad? Just wait. I mean, they say, you talk to Democrats, they'll tell you. People who know, people in their party who know, they'll tell you. Let me ask you a question about Hunter Biden. So the lawyers tell me that because he got this pardon, which is objectively outrageous, one of the consequences of this is that he can no longer claim the Fifth Amendment as a defense against testifying. I guess that means to Congress or in a court of law. A, do you believe that? And B, if yes, are we planning to bring Hunter Biden back to answer more questions about the corruption?
Well, first of all, are we bringing Hunter Biden back? That's going to be left up to Attorney General Bondi. We've completed the investigation. We have all the financial crimes outlined in a very extensive report that we published that very few people in the media read. But obviously, Joe Biden read it, or he wouldn't have issued that big blanket pardon.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. We'll bring him in if Bondi wants him brought in.
Mm,
But Hunter Biden didn't plead the fifth when we brought him in for deposition. He just lied. And
right.
one of the things that we referred to the Department of Justice was charges of perjury because he lied under oath to us. The Bidens are very good at lying. Joe Biden lied during the debate when he said the laptop was Russian disinformation when he knew it was Hunter Biden's laptop. And he lied when he said he wasn't going to pardon Hunter Biden when he knew he was going to pardon Hunter Biden. And everything he said about the Biden influence peddling schemes, Joe Biden's lied about. So they're very good at lying, and Jim Biden is right in there with them. I mean, he can lie to you and smile and pat you on the back on the way out. I mean, some people are skilled at that. People wonder what Joe Biden's skill is. It's lying, and Hunter inherited that skill very well too.
It's amazing when you consider how Democrats talk about Donald Trump and talk about, and when Joe Biden says the words of a president matter, and I'm going to restore the soul of the nation, and so on and so forth. The reporting on this pardon is amazing. NBC News says that Biden and the top White House aides got together over the summer and decided two things. They were going to leave the option of a pardon on the table, but then they were going to simultaneously lie to the American people and say, no, we weren't going to do that. It's really quite despicable, and I really do hope that Hunter Biden in some venue is forced to answer more questions. Let me ask you one more thing about Hunter Biden. Is it your belief, based on everything you know and all the investigations you've done, that had he not received a pardon, that it was likely he was going to face further possible indictments for some of the issues you mentioned surrounding the corruption, foreign agent stuff, money changing hands? Do you think it's possible or even likely that he would have faced more prosecutions over the way he had conducted himself in his business?
Absolutely. I mean, he was definitely going to be charged with FARA violations. He could have been at any point in a new Trump administration. That's very likely was going to happen. He could have been charged with more tax evasion. Remember, the Irish whistleblowers testified that they let the two things. They let the statute of limitations run out on a lot of the Burisma money that he took in, which was to the tune of $5 million. But then the IRS never received any information about the money we found he took in from Romania, that he took in from Kazakhstan, some of the money that he took in from China. So he still owes the government taxes on that income. Not only did they take the money from our adversaries around the world and lie about it, according to the Irish whistleblowers, they never paid a penny of taxes on it. So Hunter Biden was only charged for tax evasion for about $5 million or $4 million. He could have been charged for tax evasion of $27 million.
Man.
In addition to FARA violations, in addition to money laundering. And that's not my word, money laundering. That's 6 banks that issued SARS reports on him for money laundering.
Romania, Kazakhstan, it's like the plot of a screwball comedy, except there's nothing funny about it because we're literally dealing with the president of the United States. Let me change topics. You are raising some concerns, and I think a lot of people are going to have concerns about it sounds like some of the federal government workers' unions are cutting deals with the Biden administration on the way out the door here to let all these federal bureaucrats work from home for years and years and years. I think people would be shocked if they went to Washington, D.C. and went into some of these office buildings. People don't come to work. And now they're cutting deals that will let them – what is going on with this, and what are we going to do about this? People need to go to work, don't they?
Absolutely. The American people may have thought that the Joe Biden's pardon to Hunter was the last middle finger from Joe Biden to the American people. But no, the last middle finger happened yesterday when Joe Biden issued an executive order granting more federal employees the right to work from home. And you've already got a majority of the federal workers in Washington, D.C. They don't even come to work. Some of these big buildings in Washington, D.C. are only 8% occupied.
Unbelievable.
If you try to call someone on the phone and get someone on the phone in a D.C. office, it'll be a miracle if that actually happened. No one is coming to work under Joe Biden. So the American taxpayers that work hard every day, many of whom have 2 jobs, paying taxes to the federal government, the last thing they want to see are more fat cat, big government employees sitting at home in their pajamas all day, sleeping until noon, not providing any service to the American people. And that's what Joe Biden just did. I mean, he is doing everything he can to burn it down on the way out. And I think that one of the goals of DOGE is to trim the federal workforce. The first thing we need to do is get the employees back to work, and then we can figure out who's actually working and who needs to be let go. So, it's a disaster with the federal workforce right now in Washington, D.C. They're not coming to work. Even the mayor, Muriel Bowser, supports my efforts to bring the federal workforce back to work because all these retail outlets and restaurants have shut down in Washington, D.C. because there are no federal employees going to work.
Before we let you go, Congressman, I assume that your engagement with the DOGE effort and looking into this federal workers not coming to work, this is going to be at the top of your list when Congress comes back in January. Can you give me a little snapshot? What else is on Jamie Comer's mind when the Republicans come back and you chair the House Oversight Committee? What else can we expect out of you and the Republican majority on the oversight front?
Well, I'm meeting with Elon and Vivek tomorrow, but I can tell you we're going to be working very closely with their efforts to eliminate waste, fraud, abuse in the federal government. That's what our committee is supposed to do. We didn't have a majority of senators willing to go along with many of the good government bills we passed out of the House, and we sure as hell didn't have a White House that wanted to have good government. Now we do. Now the pieces are in place. I love the 2 point people on this DOGE thing. I think we're going to look at unnecessary government programs, wasteful grants. We're going to look at unneeded federal bureaucrats and just going to start taking the axe out and trying to chop waste, fraud, and abuse at every corner of the federal budget. There's no shortage of opportunities to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, and that's what my number one priority is going to be in this next Congress.
That's Congressman Jamie Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, the oracle of American politics. Yeah. He was on to the Bidens before anybody. He has been totally vindicated. And a little news, you're meeting with Elon and Vivek tomorrow about cleaning up and shrinking the federal government. Jamie, thank you for your efforts. Thank you for representing the Commonwealth of Kentucky and my ancestral congressional district, Kentucky 1. Yep. You do a terrific job for the people of the Commonwealth and the people of the United States of America. Scott Jennings in for Mike Gallagher. Stay with us.